money going into their schools as they would have been without the TIF, if it had just been straight property tax. So where a lot of people are concerned and worry and think that, well, we're providing all these subsidies out of general fund tax dollars from the city of Beaver Heights, so that's not the case. The TIF money is coming from Miami County to the city, and then the subsidies we're providing is out of a TIF fund that we never would have had the houses and had the development that occurred in the first place. So all that development is happening. So Miami County is paying us money to build a development that attracts people to live there that now pay income tax to the city, on top of the assessments and the water tap fees. You know, Beaver Heights, we own our water company. We provide them water. So it is a good thing, but it's understanding all the moving parts and pieces, you know, to how that works. So TIFs are just a way that communities can invest in their community, provide infrastructure, and then recapture the property taxes that would normally go to the county. We get to keep. We get to retain that. And yes, some of that is school money, but the schools will ultimately catch up and they'll receive the money that they should.
So if I may play devil's advocate, if property values decrease, how does that affect the TIF for those listening?
Well, it would just be less revenue that would be coming into kind of what we would call a TIF account. But property values, I mean, we know those are flexible. And I think if you talk to anybody who's ever saying real estate has always been one of the safest investments, because we know that markets fluctuate. So sometimes, you know, property values may go down, but then they get reassessed. Property values go up. And in fact, I believe, and I attended the school board meeting where Carl Keith, the Montgomery County Auditor, spoke. And during these new assessments they're doing, you know, it's kind of that good. It's kind of the good thing, bad thing, right? So property values have been reassessed in Montgomery County, and they've increased. So the bad side of that is people's property taxes are going to go up because their property values are going to go up. But now in property tax, the majority of that money in non-TIF districts all go into the schools. So it helps the schools and everything else. So we're in a period right now where property values are going up and demand for housing is up. And that's just basic supply and demand economics. We have a demand for housing, and as housing demands increase, so does property values. And that's where we're at right now. I mean, that's the environment that we're in. So I don't see property values going down. I think from the 2008 market crash, we've gone about as down as far as we can go. Now everything is back on the upswing, and we're just going to be reaping the rewards of those property taxes in those TIF districts that will help fund and pay for all the other things that we've done, ultimately, that's tried to increase the quality of life for the residents here, being the Aquatic Center and the Rose, and why, and who knows whatever else that we can do in the future that can increase and help the quality of life of the people that live here.
Mm-hmm. And
so it is a good thing. It is a good thing done in the right way. And that TIF right now, Montgomery Miami County TIF, there's something $4 to $6 million in that TIF account that's just sitting there that can be used for, you know, and that all leads into the 2025 plan. You know, our 2025 plan says that by 2025, and even it has to be adjusted to 2026 or 2027 based on how the annual tax bills come in. So even if that gets modified, we still have a plan that's solid and works, and we know we will have enough money in those TIF funds that pay all the debt service on all the things that we have from 2025. And no money out of the general fund gets spent. It's all funded by TIF money. And understanding how that works is key. There was a big sports complex that was just approved by Warren County commissioners down in Warren County. I think it's a $17, $18 million sports complex they're building on there.
Uh-huh.
In the article, they clearly laid out every bit of that infrastructure, everything that's being done there is all being done and funded by a TIF in Warren County.
Yeah, it's
so
TIFs are popular.
People
right now, they're heating up.
People are excited about that. Think it's a great idea. What they've done in Warren County to build this big sports facility complex is going to attract hundreds of thousands of people and lots of revenue around Warren County is no different than what we've done with Carriage Trails, and Clark Center, and the Rose. It's no different.
Okay. There was a few things. The Good Sports pad that's been a hot topic. What are your?
That's been a question that comes up. That's a question that's come up on several of the meet and greets I've done. And again, I think there's just a lot of misinformation that just gets circled around, and then everybody talks about it. So the city purchased all that property a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I think the price we paid was roughly around $60,000 an acre for a lot of that land up there on Executive Boulevard. It's about the most that it was going for. It was about $60,000. So there's a section of property in between TJ Chumps and the Rose where the Good Sports Facility Hotel, all that was going to go. Excuse me. Good Sports pulled out of that deal. But what we're left with is a piece of property there that ultimately we know is marketable. It's on Executive Boulevard, has frontage on I-70. So the city made what I believe to be a wise decision, installed infrastructure, the basic infrastructure, sewer, water, nature, electricity, and all those things were there. Kind of the curb cuts, all those things. So I've heard people call it a pad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a pad because it's not like there's a concrete footer there and foundations where the real definition of a pad is. None of that's there. It's just an open field that has basic infrastructure into it. And
right. It was being set up for the $22 million field house hotel deal that they had up there.
Yes. But, we're not the builder, so we didn't install a footing and a concrete foundation for the hotel and the sports facility to come in on. When we say a pad, it's dirt that just has sewer and water and electrical connections run up to where the property's at, so when they started building, they could just tap into that and connect it to their future facility. So that was the infrastructure that was put in there. I think I don't have the numbers in front of me in the budgets, but if my memory serves me correctly, we spent maybe $200,000 or so on infrastructure on top of the 60 acres the 6 acres in that particular area that we purchased.
There was a lot of money invested.
Yeah. But there's always risk reward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reward now is, I believe, this is all public record, so I believe people know this, but if they don't, Hilton, the hotel company Hilton, purchased just 2 acres, the acreage closest to the highway. So it's the acreage further back from Executive Boulevard. They just purchased those 2 acres for $600,000 from the city, and they're building a new hotel there. And they're so far into the process now. The land has been closed. We have the money for the $600,000, and
I think it's been through planning commission and everything, right?
They've been through planning commission. They've submitted their plans for a detailed development plan, and probably within the next 60 days or so, we're going to see a new Hilton hotel coming out of the ground in between TJ Chumps and the Rose. And we sold that property. What we bought for $60 an acre and invested some money into it in the infrastructure, we sold it for $600,000. And that's going to be a catalyst for growth because we still have 4 more acres of outlots in front of the hotel leading up to Executive Boulevard. There's still 4 more acres to sell. Now, look, I would just ask you, supply and demand, real estate, is the other 4 acres. Now there's a hotel in between a restaurant and a music center venue.
Mm-hmm.
Are the other 4 acres at least worth the $300,000 that the hotel paid for their 2 acres?
It should be.
It should be. Absolutely.
Yeah, it should.
So there's still
the trends would say yes.
Another $1.2 million worth of land sales on those other 4 acres for future business.
Yeah.
So that was ultimately, that was a good decision. But a lot of people didn't understand what was happening, and people were upset because this town was all about sports, right? People were upset that that sports facility there, good sports, wasn't happening, and then we're still spending money. So a lot of people interpreted that as, we got to save face now. We've got this money invested. We're spending good money after bad money. But that just wasn't the case. We were making sure that land had infrastructure that would attract businesses. If the infrastructure wasn't there, we don't know that Hilton would have came in and bought just raw land where they were responsible for putting in infrastructure and building sewer lines and all those things. That typically businesses don't do that. They like what's called shovel-ready lots. And we provided a shovel-ready lot, and we sold them for $600,000.
I think with the restaurant there and the music center, it was a matter of time before without good sports, a matter of time before a hotel popped up right there. Perfect place for one.
And guess what the greatest part about that is?
What's that?
It's a TIF district.
Yep.
All the property taxes on that hotel are all going to be coming into the city funds through the TIF rather than being paid to Montgomery County.
And anytime they sell out, I think it's like $3 per room will go to the city as well. I think it's something. Yeah. It's roughly that.
Yeah, because hotels have the hotel tax,
right,
which is just kind of that overnight rent. I mean, we all pay it. You look at your hotel bill. You get on Expedia and you book a room for $100, and it's going to be $125. You got a $14 room tax on there. So
depending on what city you live in, Huber's pretty cheap, I think, compared to other cities. Yeah.
Right. So but ultimately, you're right. That hotel benefits the city on the extra tax that's paid that comes to the city, and what normal revenue would have been in property tax going to Montgomery County, the city gets to retain roughly 80% of that tax, that property tax. That money will all be funneled into our TIF accounts that there's already, like I said, $4 to $6 million sitting in there. It goes into that TIF account to help pay for all the other stuff that we've done and built. And in the end, all those amenities just help people out.
Right. Well,
I'm about quality of life. I'm all about quality of life. Where I want to live, what attracts people to move to a community is a community that is safe, a community that has good schools, and a community that offers quality of life. And quality of life involves everything about parks as well. So I'm 100% on board with cleaning up and fixing our parks and investing money in our parks.
Excellent.
Heck, I'm even in favor of developing our own parks and recreation, division of the city, where we have people that are running and managing our parks. I'm even for that, because that's all about quality of life for the people that live here. And That's what attracts new people.
Yeah, there's the city I live in, it's called Schertz, Texas. There's a lot of ideas that they do here. It's a comparable sized city. I think we're right around 40,000. Huber's right around 36, so it's comparable. There's a lot of different amenities that I think Huber could get to that would make it a city that people would flock to. I think Huber has I almost said a word I don't want to say, a bunch of potential. So
I mean, look, when you look at our location, 70-75,
right,
the crossroads of America, and we have space available. We should be at the tops of everyone's list when it comes to people thinking about relocating and moving their business into another area of the region. And look, I'm just going to be honest. I think over the last few years, we just have not had anyone selling our city. And ultimately, that's what it is. We have to have somebody who has the ability and the desire and the know-how to sell our city to other areas in the region. And I don't just mean Southern Ohio. I mean the region as in, like, even the Mid-Atlantic states and the Southern states where people, where businesses are looking to expand and want to move here.
Right.
Or maybe not necessarily here right now, but I'm going to let them know, hey,